brings me to talk about the kaff, because Israelis didn't skip that wagon, and they joined it, and recently came out with the Israeli kaffiyeh, or as they call it, the kaff. And basically it's like this Keffiyeh with like stars of David all over it and such. And I do want to acknowledge the fact that Arab Jews have worn the Keffiyeh for centuries in the same way that other Arabs have in the region. And that's not the issue. First off, I think the appropriation of the Keffiyeh is being used in the sense of a culture as weapon, kind of in the same way that Israelis have appropriated other cultures of Palestinians or other cultural identifiers of Palestinians. Like we can see the example in food, where falafel is now the national food of Israel, and hummus and shawarma. And if you ask many Israelis, they think that this food is Israeli food, right? But for a Palestinian culture that is basically continuously trying to manifest itself from fear of being extinct by Israeli occupation, language being another huge issue with a lot of Arabs speaking Hebrew by necessity. The creation of the Israeli kaffiyeh is basically the cherry on top of the colonizer sundae. Yes, in my opinion. And this quote is kind of indicative of that. I don't remember who wrote this, I found it on a blog, but it says, "It is the fact that our very existence is still being threatened, our country slowly being chipped away and devoured by settlements, checkpoints, and bypass roads, which is why so many of us desperately cling to the symbols that define who we are." And often throughout history, you'll find the same thing. Basically, the identity of yours that is threatened will be the one that you most, outspokenly declare to be yours. For example, in my case, when I'm in a setting that is very homophobic, it becomes my queer identity that's important to defend versus being a queer person of color. Yet again, those intersect, of course. And walking through Tel Aviv, for example, kaffiyehs are exposed in store windows and are sold everywhere, and often people will say, "I wear it because it's nice. This is Israeli." Once again, kaffiyeh comes rid of its political significance altogether. Actually, Merav Frank, the deputy fashion editor of a magazine in Israel called La Isha, stating, "Maybe now that global fashion has forgotten it, we can wear it without the political significance." So that's kind of in the mindset of where this is coming from. Also, secondly, if we look at the ads for this kaffiyeh on the Keff website, we see a reflection of the recent rebranding mission of Israel, showing itself as multicultural and progressive and whatnot. So you can see a lot of pictures of like people from different backgrounds on their website. And to top that off, we also see a reflection of one of the main representations of occupation, which is the Israeli soldier. Wearing a kaffiyeh, which, is so ironic considering that pro-Zionist or pro-Israeli activists are the first to call out anyone in the States that wears a kaffiyeh and calling them a terrorist, yet they, put that on their soldiers. And not to mention that it's been highly exoticized as well, kind of like a testimony of them like joining this fashion thing. And then if you read a lot of it, like the explanation behind it is that, kaffiyehs have always been worn by Jews, blah, blah, blah. But then if you look at the actual website, you see kind of more of the context from which this is emerging. Another interesting thing about fashion, we can actually have a discussion about this picture after because it's pretty intense. Just so you see it, and then we'll talk about it a bit later. But what I was going to bring up is that this fashion rage around the kaffiyeh is having such direct, concrete consequences on Palestinian economy because, okay, listen to this. Yasser Harawi was the only Palestinian manufacturer of the kaffiyeh in Hebron. But through globalization and the Keffiyeh craze among fashionistas as well as activists, so through globalization and the Keffiyeh becoming, you know,
sorry, can it be transferred on a jump drive? The presentation?
we could do that. Yeah? So
I have one, that's one, yeah.
Okay, so as I was saying, globalization and the rise of the fashion around the Keffiyeh and also with activists wearing it more and more, around the 2000s, China entered the market and they started supplying even inside of Israel and Palestine at a much more affordable price, obviously. And so somehow, global support for the Palestinian struggle became a nail in the coffin of the Palestinian economy. So I'm going to show you a video of that. It's about the actual factory and
ياسر محمد بن الرجاوي اللي هو 76 عام والحمد لله عايشين بصحة والتزام النساء. رغم الشعب الفلسطيني يعني كل واحد كل شعب زي ما بيخطط اللي بالاساس فيها وصيتها من تونس يعني يقدروا كلهم يكونوا يطلعوا.
يعني اول شيء الشعب الفلسطيني الجهات الاساسيه هي تطبيق الرسول. بيجي بعدها الناس فينا الخياريه يعني كبار البلد نفس الخطه كمان. الخطه الاولى هذه السياحه. بتعبر الحمراء للجبهة الشعبية يعني من الأول طبعا إنها كيف تأتي الحمراء على حماس يعني بس مش فاهم ليش يعني ما فيش فاهم.
My name is Muhammad. I'm 20 years old and I live in London. This kaffiyeh is my dad's actually, and if my memory serves me correctly, it was given to him by his mother. This one's really special to me. It's the only one I've ever owned. Kuffiyah is a traditional headdress. It was most prominent in Arab states, specifically Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. With the founding of the PLO in the 1960s, Kuffiyah really became to symbolize Palestine. The leader of the PLO, Yasser Arafat, I think he's the most famous Kuffiyah wearer in the world. You can never sing without one. I think it was at that point that Kuffiyah really began to symbolize the Palestinian struggle. Before the end of the first Intifada, when Israel actually banned the Palestinian flag and you were liable to be attacked or imprisoned just for waving it, Kuffiyah became a more covert way to symbolize your struggle and your fight against Israeli occupation.
صار بلد مش يسوي من برا، ليش يسوي من برا؟ لو ما فيش في البلد بنقوم نعمل لما طالما في موجود في مصانع تشتغل لازم يشجع المصنع
في الثمانينات في فترة الانتفاضة كانت الأولى كانت علينا كانت كنا من هذا التابع اللي يحيى الخطاب يمكن 1000 في المكان لأنه كانوا يستعملوها كافة فئات الشعب مش يعني 70% يستعملون بس
يعني يوم نجي كنا شغال 24 ساعة كنت شغال وفي شدة واحدة مفتوحة كان الربيع كله في قطاع غزة ومعروف إسرائيل كمان يعني كان طبعا أثر علينا كثير أثر شوي لأن لازم نضع ولا حط من برا شيء ومستعد أنا أكفي الضفة الغربية ولا كله أكفيها ولو جاء علي الماكينة أكفت فأجيب ماكينة جديدة احنا طالب الاستيراد مفتوح واحنا وضعنا في الجارة في الشغل احنا بدنا نمنع الاستيراد خاصة السنتات الرمز هذا البرصين.
It's a tragedy because it's such a potent symbol of Palestine, you know? And the idea that nowadays Palestinians themselves don't manufacture their own symbol, their greatest symbol, the most prominent symbol. I mean, we're getting screwed over by globalization, you know, and the demand for kaffiyehs as a fashion accessory overseas. I mean, it's much easier for someone to pay $5 for a kaffiyeh made in China than it is to pay, $25 for a genuine kaffiyeh made in Palestine. I think it's sad that a lot of people now are benefiting economically from our suffering and our struggle.